There it is. Good morning, everybody. I know it's kind of a tight shot, isn't it?
It is.
Meteorologist Andrew Stutzke and meteorologist Morgan Strackbein here. We're going to give folks a moment or two to go ahead and get into the live stream because we do want to give you an update on what's going on with the ice storm that's moving through. We've actually had some recent developments in terms of we're just now starting to see some communities in some of your hometowns, especially north of the Quad Cities, starting to report in some ice accumulation. You're getting like a light glaze, especially on those elevated surfaces. And we've been watching the Rock Falls camera here, which had a clear view all morning up until probably the last hour or so. We're starting to see that ice develop on the camera itself. And I'm going to actually try and pan it down and show you the post that this thing is on, because it actually shows really nicely the glazing that we've got going on. Whoops, went a little too fast. So let's point this a little further down. So this is the post atop of Star Media's building here in downtown Rock Falls. And you can see that glaze right on that wood post. Probably not a tenth of an inch yet. Doesn't look like we're quite there, but we're getting close.
I'd say it's getting pretty close. Not only are we seeing this near Rock Falls, it's also getting pretty icy near Clinton as well.
Yeah, let's see if we can pull up that one. There's the airport south of Rock Falls, which is glazed over. The camera lens is glazed over there. Let's give Clinton a second to pull up here. It's got to pull in that live feed all the way from Clinton, Iowa. I know it's so far away. There it is.
A nice glaze.
Yeah, so we're getting there. We're getting close. And as we said, this is not a Quad Cities event. This is more of a northern hometown event. That's what we've been talking about. Thankfully, the worst is missing us here in the metro. Could you imagine half an inch of ice here in the metro?
I'd be home already.
Woo!
I'm not putting up with that. I'm somebody who will avoid the roads at all costs. Ice is a completely different monster than driving in 5 to 6 inches of snow. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not an ice person. Don't like it. It's a mess. It causes so many issues, but that's what we're seeing north of the Quad Cities, and that matches well with where they have the winter weather advisory and the ice storm warning too. So let's go back into the road conditions, because this is a map that we've seen change a little bit. We haven't seen too much here locally or within the region yet. There's one little strip up there south of Dubuque that's reporting some partially covered roads. But we just had one of our photojournalists, Brad Mosier, come in, and he was telling us that he lives up near the Macokota area, that coming in the bridges and overpasses up there are just ice.
Yeah, getting pretty icy, which is going to be the first things that you do notice get pretty icy, as they don't have all that insulation underneath to be able to keep it a little bit warmer than the rest of the roads around it. But this is probably something we'll likely continue to see deteriorate a little bit more, those road conditions. As we go through the next couple of hours, there is starting to be a little bit more of an extreme band building just to the west of, I believe, Macokota. Kind of getting a little bit more now developing. But you can kind of see those lighter colors, especially near that Iowa City area, maybe indicating that it could get a little bit stronger in terms of that mix.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch how dramatically this radar has changed, because when we were on GMQC earlier this morning, there was just this little band kind of going through Mount Pleasant, Wapello, down towards Geneseo and so forth. Now the radar is just about 100% filled with varying types of stuff, from freezing rain to sleet to rain. And like you were saying, look at the heavier freezing rain that's going to start working its way north of Iowa 80, near Iowa City up towards Tipton, and all of that's going to be going into areas like Macokota, Clinton, into parts of Carroll County. If you're in Sterling Rock Falls along 88, you're kind of on the border. You're seeing a little bit of that glaze on elevated surfaces. So far, again, as you saw in the road reports, we're not seeing anything major right now. But I guarantee if you're going north of that, like Brad said, up towards Macokota, probably Savannah too at this point, you're seeing that glazing on the roads. And that is a pretty heavy band. I mean, it's heavy rain initially, but once it gets north of Interstate 80, that's kind of been our dividing line in terms of where those colder temperatures are. You've even got some heavier stuff trying to move into the Sauk Valley just south of you, south of Interstate 88. So there's a heavier band. It looks like it's near Kelowna, not the Illinois Kelowna, but the Iowa Kelowna, if you will. Near Fairfield, and all that's got to move to the northeast still yet.
Yeah, so we're going to still continue to see that progress a little bit more to the north and east, and even if you want to go back one.
Oh, yes.
So, I think the Iowa side of the Quad Cities is included in this winter weather advisory, but the Illinois side is not. And you can even see what's going on right now in radar, where the pink stuff is on the Iowa side, But in the Illinois side, we're dealing with all rain. So it just kind of shows how localized we can get when it comes to these events, and especially also showing that Moline is generally a couple degrees warmer than Davenport.
Very true. And it's the temperature that plays the critical part in who's getting what today. Not only at the ground, but aloft, too, just even a couple hundred feet off the ground. I forgot to put the regional view on here, but I'm going to throw this back in here just so you can see how much moisture has yet to stream up here.
I'm jealous of the people getting thunderstorms.
I know. Look at all that lightning south of Quincy. So jealous. Even my friend down towards Springfield had it, too. Yeah, I know. It's so close. If you were in Galesburg this morning, you may have heard a rumble of thunder. There was some near I-74 earlier. But this is just like
a lot of rain.
Constant stream of moisture. And the setup for this is it's called a double barrel system. You've got two areas of low pressure. You've got one that's moving through near Kansas City, but there's another area of low pressure down here through the southwest. And both of these are kind of going to join forces a little bit later today. And that's why this storm is so expansive. But that is a lot of moisture yet to go. And so that's why we're not only expecting significant ice to the north, but we're also going to get some heavy rain.
Yeah, so if you're not expecting all the ice or the wintry mix for today, I think that's where we are expecting the heaviest rain. So more so our Illinois hometowns that may see quite a bit of rainfall here in the next couple of hours.
Yeah, that's been a theme we've had much of this winter.
Yes.
Not much snow, but a lot of rain.
And something else that we're going to be monitoring even going forward beyond the system is there's a lot of snow, as you can see right now.
Yeah.
On a lot of the United States seeing winter storm warnings, but specifically we've also been hearing about Minneapolis, Minnesota, Wisconsin areas talking about feet of snow. Once that melts, where is it going to go? Right to us.
Yeah.
And we've been in an elevated risk for some flooding on the Mississippi, so it'll be interesting to see how this could be a factor.
Yeah, and you were just mentioning tomorrow we
Yes.
get the second flood outlook for the spring season. So it'll be interesting, like you said, to see if that's any change now that they're seeing this active pattern get established. And, what they say, 18 to 25 inches of snow for parts of Minnesota? I mean, oh my gosh, that's a lot of water.
That is a lot
That's
of water.
going to melt. So it's a big storm system. As Ginger Z was even saying this morning, there's 40 plus states across the country that are going to be impacted by this, whether it's wind, whether it's severe weather, heavy rain, or some type of snow or ice. And that's exactly what you see on the map here. I mean, it's just covered. So it's a massive storm system. And for us, it's an ice event for the most part. A little bit of wind coming in tomorrow, but nothing we can't handle. But there's your advisories right now. So if you're under the winter weather advisory, the rule has been a glaze of ice, which is what we're seeing right now, maybe a tenth at most. And then when you get to the ice storm warning, which is up towards Maquoketa and Galena and Elizabeth and Joe Davis County there, it's up to half an inch of ice. And that's a lot of ice. I mean, half an inch.
And it's hard to put it in perspective, more so about half of an inch. Ice doesn't seem like that much, but a little bit goes a long way. So even those areas in the glaze that can still cause a lot of issues out there on the roads, especially when it comes to black ice and you can't see it, that glaze can still cause a lot of issues. But off to our north, where we are expecting that half of an inch on ice on power lines is about 500 extra pounds onto power lines. So that's probably also where we could be talking about some power outages here in the afternoon and evening.
Yeah, that's why, it'd be smart if you live in that ice storm warning, or I would say even in Carroll County, too, on the northern edge of that winter weather advisory, make sure your cell phone's charged. Really throughout the day if you can, because if you lose power, and especially with the winds coming in later tonight and tomorrow, it could be for an extended period of time. We're not talking a couple of hours, but maybe more than that, especially if the winds pick up. That kind of hinders crew's ability to get some stuff done. So not a bad idea to do that. Also, of course, you don't want to be traveling if you're in the ice storm warning either. I mean, Josh just came in asking us about a story in Bellevue. And we're looking at the radar, and it's like, I don't think that's such a good idea to do that.
Even if things aren't looking too bad now, of course, it's going to take him an hour to get there, and then an hour to come back, and not to mention the time he's there. So by the time he was wrapping things up, it might get a little dangerous out there in the next couple of hours. So if you, especially in those areas, again, if you don't have to be out, best idea to just not risk it and stay home.
Exactly. Yeah, good advice. Very solid advice. Let's take it to your future track, because this has been very consistent in showing where that heaviest freezing rain is going to fall. I want you to focus on the pink area because that's where we're having this freezing rain and these icing issues. So I'm going to take this through the afternoon and into the early evening, and you notice that pink area really doesn't take a break. It just keeps on raining and freezing rain and more freezing rain. Meanwhile, it's all rain to the south of that. We don't wrap up the freezing rain, followed by probably a brief period of freezing drizzle, until nearly 10 o'clock tonight. And even then, now it's still trying to bring in some freezing drizzle on the backside of this thing. So that's why we're seeing these higher accumulations of ice further to the north of the Quad Cities. And this has been very consistent ever since the weekend. Bless you.
Thank you.
Very consistent ever since the weekend, and putting those higher ice totals right north of, say, Highway 30 there near Clinton and north of Sterling, and then that really high ice accumulation along Highway 20.
Yeah, I am actually very impressed with both Saturday and Sunday. I remember putting this out on a long-range future track, and I was like, this is going to be the one to watch because it looks like quite a lot of wintry mix in this, and if this is ice, that's going to be bad. And it stayed really consistent over the past couple of days, so very impressive with how the models handled this so far out even.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that. And by the way, it's been 4 years since the National Weather Service here in the Quad Cities has issued an ice storm warning. So it is kind of a rare event for us. We don't get them that often. And it takes a lot for the National Weather Service to go out and say, hey, ice storm warning. That's not something they issue lightly because they know it's going to be impactful. You're going to close schools. You're going to close businesses. It's a big deal. So when they put that out, we know they mean business. And this is why. No surprise looking at that ice accumulation forecast. I want to go through briefly, really quick, the impacts of these different ice categories in terms of how much ice you get. So 1/4 of an inch, it's just inconvenient. We expect some slick spots, just like what Brad kind of experienced on the way in, some of the bridges and overpasses. Your windshield becomes fully coated, especially if you don't have your defrost on and your car's not warmed up, and you get that glaze of ice on the trees. But when you go up to like 1/2 an inch and more than 1/2 an inch, there's a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
It becomes very destructive. It becomes, I don't even know the words that I'm looking for.
Crippling.
Yes, there you go. Crippling. But again, anything from 1/2 of an inch to even higher, it doesn't matter at that point. I think up to 1/2 of an inch, you're going to see a lot of different factors, and it just will continue to get worse if you get any more. But that's, again, if you're in the ice storm warning, that's something that you have the potential of seeing, and that's definitely not anything to joke about for today.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why your risks of power outages is definitely a little more elevated up there too. And just to go back to what Morgan said earlier, the added weight to the power lines when you get 1/2 an inch of ice, 500 pounds on a single strand of those. And also you've probably seen this in the past too, you get these galloping power lines when the wind picks up. And the reason for that is, you can see that in the illustration here, the ice that forms on these power lines is tear-shaped. It's not a perfect circle. So the wind gets up on that, and it actually starts kind of swaying it back and forth a little bit, and that's why you get all these damage to the power lines. They sway, they collide, they can break off, and that could be something that we're going to be seeing a little bit later, perhaps this afternoon, even as early as this evening for some hometowns north of us.
Yes, it will definitely be something that Chief Meteorologist James Harrow will be watching very closely and reporting on.
And if you can get video of it safely, I don't want folks venturing out into this storm trying to find it, but maybe you've got that happening in your backyard and you can get video of it safely, we'd appreciate seeing that.
Or any good captures around your home of any ice buildup that you can find. We would just love your pictures. I'd definitely like to see what's actually happening versus the technology that we have where we can assume what's happening.
Exactly. Yeah, it's always good to get that visual representation. I want to see if I can pull through the wind speeds. I don't have this in my lineup, but I'm just kind of curious what they're doing as we go through tonight. So it does get a little breezy here this evening. This is the wind gusts, future track wind gusts, up to 30 miles an hour this evening. We get a little quiet first thing tomorrow morning, but I know the wind is expected to kick back up tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening, and that's when we're going to see still the continued risk for some power outages. Even though the rain and the ice may be done, there's nothing that's going to melt this ice until we get that sunshine to return later Thursday afternoon, but more specifically on Friday. We need some of the sun to melt that ice away. So tomorrow afternoon, evening, very windy. I don't see much wind as we get towards Friday into the upcoming weekend, thankfully.
Yes, and this weekend, once again, going to be a treat.
It's going to be gorgeous. I will say I am a little sick of the Wednesday, Thursday storm frame, the theme.
I kind of want something on the weekend. I'm kind of sick and tired.
I feel bad that I'm hogging everything from you guys on the weekends, like literally. But hey, the weekend, you get another good one here. You get 40s and 50s, and there's another powerful storm system on track for early next week. That one looks like it's going to take a similar track to this, actually a little bit further to the north. So I'm going to throw us in the 50s and go with thunderstorms then.
We can get our thunderstorm chance.
That would be nice. I wouldn't mind hearing a little thunder.
A nice little thunderstorm day.
Bring it. Other than that, if you guys have any questions, you can put them in the comment section. We'll go through those real quick if we have any sitting there that we can answer. I'm going to leave up the interactive radar so you guys can see what's going on with that. Don't forget the News 8 app, too, because you can get that radar on your screen. Road conditions are there as well. A very handy thing to have.
All right, we have
there it goes.
A couple people checking in.
Hey, Josh, stand by.
Yeah, Josh, we're busy working.
We're working.
So we have Stacy from Andalusia checking in. Oh gosh, I don't want to pronounce your name wrong, but
there's some tricky ones out there.
Good morning from Wyatt. And then Deanna said, how will it be in Galesburg? Not expecting anything more than really just rain in Galesburg area. So you were in the green.
Yep.
Linda saying thank you. Rick saying hello. Dawn watching from California, which is actually getting quite a mess as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Rhonda saying, how will it be in Champaign? I don't think Champaign will see anything more than rain either.
Nope.
Crystal saying, Prophetstown area here right now, heading to Morrison and Rock Falls, and then back to Ohio, Illinois. So watching closely. Ice is getting a nice glaze here on Route 92 and Route 78 outside Prophetstown on the deck and my truck right now. That is no surprise there. And then Mary is asking about Davenport, any ice? We are expecting about a glaze in the Davenport area, but not anything that should cause too many headaches out there. We're basically right on that edge of that transition.
Very close.
And then we have a new one. Dawn saying has to be one of the toughest forecasts to make. 1 degree higher or lower can change everything, which is so true. It's basically a waiting game. It's basically, like you said, it's a 1 degree. If we're sitting at 33 degrees at the surface, no freezing rain. Mm-hmm. We get 1 degree to drop, start to see that freezing rain.
Gosh. Yeah, if you think snow is a headache to forecast, this is even worse.
It is.
Even worse.
Because you have to have all of the atmosphere profiles to be warmer until it gets to the surface, and then it has to be colder. Versus snow, it's just all cold.
Exactly.
Or versus all rain, all warm.
You don't have this what we call a temperature inversion kind of up in the upper atmosphere that makes things a little complicated.
It is very tough.
But I will say, models and forecasting in general has done a really nice job with this. We knew early on in the weekend, like you said, Morgan, watching the trend on this, that some part of the Quad Cities was going to get hit with this wintry mix, including this ice that we're seeing now. So that's what it is. I know a lot more of you want snow. Don't give up hope yet. It looks very active through the month of March. In fact, we could have a little late season Arctic intrusion next month that I've been watching too. So don't give up hope yet. It's not lost.
We're not done with winter.
No, we're not. No, gosh, no. On my page, there's a few. I've got Linda saying it's all good in Clinton for now. I know we're kind of icing up a little bit on the elevated surfaces. Tina says Galva's got rain.
Galva will probably just continue to get rain.
Yeah, I don't see much ice there either. Sean says a little slick glaze on the deck in Clinton and on the sidewalk. Dave says there's ice on the power lines in the Clare.
That's no surprise.
Not good. Amy says she's got to drive from Clinton to Byron tomorrow morning at 4:30. Should I leave earlier? I would actually advise leaving later. You want to give crews a little extra time to get the roads kind of under control, because this is going to stop about midnight. So the more time you can give these road crews to salt and do all that kind of stuff, the better you'll be. We're not going to see temperatures that are absolutely like Arctic bone chilling. Salt is going to work today because we will stay close to the freezing mark in the upper 20s. So that's what we got for there. Glaze on the sidewalk in Fulton from Martha. Brenda asking ice in Geneseo. I'm thinking a glaze, but for the most part, this will stay north of Geneseo.
Yeah, and also hearing about a lot of flights canceled. In fact, my grandmother, she was supposed to be flying home from her couple week-long vacation in Florida. Just texted me that her flight got canceled, so she continues to stay in Florida and miss out on all this. I would rather her be in Florida and not have to deal with the roads. Anyway,
and speaking of Florida,
yes,
she is going to get warm.
She's getting all the warmth. Florida's experiencing some unseasonably warm temperatures, like reaching 90 degrees this week. Or even today, right?
Yeah. Upper 80s to near 90 today. And it's that temperature craziness that's driving this storm system essentially across the country right now.
Yeah, when you know that you have an intense temperature change across the United States, things are going to get crazy.
It is absolutely crazy. I would love to be there, though. I love heat. I love humidity. Oh, I'd go down there in a heartbeat. Sounds like a good time.
We'll get there one day.
We will. Due time. You know, we're getting there. I think we're all caught up. You caught up? Anything more?
Caught up. Nope.
All right. I didn't see anything on YouTube either. Our YouTube people are very quiet. They might be watching on their television, though, and it's kind of hard probably to do a little chitty chat on television.
Yeah, true.
But we appreciate you guys joining us, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook as well. We'll definitely kind of keep you advised as this continues to move through. Of course, not only here on WQAD.com, our social media channels, but of course we have GMQC at 11 coming up in about 40 minutes. So join us for that. And of course, Morgan's going to be here for a little bit, and James will be coming in to continue covering this event as well. So just to recap, the further north of the Quad Cities you live, that's where the worst of this is going to be, including up to a half an inch of ice right along that Highway 20 corridor. If you do not need to travel in that region today, don't do it. It's not worth it. Would not be surprised if we start hearing about tow bans up towards Dubuque and Galena and them closing parts of the highways and roadways because of that. So half an inch of ice is definitely nothing to mess with.
No, and it can be a matter of a half hour before, you know, if you do travel where you start to see those conditions deteriorate. It can be very, very quick. It can be sudden. So again, just if you don't have to travel, just enjoy the day at home.
Yeah, exactly, if you can. And if you do have to travel, well, plan on significant delays. Do you have your winter weather emergency kit? You know, the cat litter, especially today.
Oh, yes, the
to
cat
get
litter.
traction if you get stuck, say, in the ditch somewhere, or you want to have all those available to you. And then, you can see the glaze of ice continuing on that camera.
Yes, so continue to keep a close eye out on it, and we'll continue to bring you updates over the next, honestly, 24 hours as we kind of deal with this.
Exactly. It's in our name. We track storms, and that's exactly what we're doing for you, right, David?
That's right.
That's right. All right. You guys have a fantastic day. Please stay safe. Be careful, and we'll see you coming up for Good Morning Quad Cities at 11. Take care.
I wish I could turn that just to have